around 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's very, very hot indeed. Safety car is on track at the moment. It's just got off. Of course, it's always a rolling start here. We're waiting for the green flag so the starter can get us underway here at Sears Point. Audis 1 and 2 for now. We've gone green and we're racing, and a fantastic start for David Brabham in the Panos, straight away into third place, zooming off second row, and Andy Wallace with work to do in the White Champion Racing team car. Well, a superb start indeed for David Brabham, just getting the jump there, fourth fastest in qualifying, but it's Audis 1 and 2, and how familiar does that sound? Well, a nice clean start, no drama yet, everyone's staying calm. Temperatures, well, they'll soon be nearing optimum as far as not just the edges, the gearbox, but also, of course, the tyres as well. The Saleen leads the GTS. Drivers all pacing themselves for now. BMW's leading the GT class. Well, a tight bunch of BMWs hassled by the Porsches. More on them in just a moment. Out front, though, it's the Audis, and settling in well. David Brabham in last year's Panos. Been under wraps since around about Christmas time, and they're just desperate to get it back out, bring some success back. Slightly different look, of course, in this year's model. And look at Andy Wallace just having a look down, desperate to get back into that third spot. The door, though, being slammed by that beautiful and distinctive car, the Panos. Yes, they unveiled the 2001 model this year, and it just didn't deliver for them. After early success, it hasn't happened. The Saleen, then, also up there and looking good. Terry Borker leading the GTS, ahead of the vets of Ron Fellows and Collins in the number 4 car. Dino Capella then ahead of Frank Bieler, and already catching back markers inside the first 10 minutes. Bieler, overnight problems seem to have gone. He's sticking with his teammate, as you can see. Well, as they catch those back markers, they're going to have to be careful. You can pick up penalties here for hassling slower cars. We've seen that earlier in the series and also in the European rounds. Stop-go penalties, not a welcome sight for any driver. Out of sight, Bill Oberlin, the number 10, has passed the number 43, Dirk Muller, to lead the GT series. For the time being then, as they go through traffic, it's Audis 1, 2 and 4, the Panos of Brabham. Third for now in the big class. Saleen heads the Corvettes. Numbers 3 and 4 cars, and it's BMWs 1, 2 and 3 in the GT class. Well, the leaders just approaching and passing number 66, Kevin Buckler of the Macquarie Racing Team. It looks so easy, doesn't it? Beautiful machines, so phenomenally well balanced and tuned. Borkley in the Saleen GTS being chased by Ron Fellows in the number 3 Corvette. The number 4 Corvette, Collins, seems to have dropped back somewhat. But Borkley pulling away. Saleen, a road-going car. You can buy a road-going version of these vehicles. The special GTS class, one up from the GT series, and believe me, I've seen it in the flesh, and it is a beautiful machine, the Saleen. The silver example was trackside at Donington Park when we caught up with the European series. On board then with Dino Capello, picking off the back markers. He really is trying hard. No rest here, no real straights, as you can see. It's one way and then the next, very physically demanding on the drivers. The head bobbling all over the place. Not perhaps going as wide as he might, had he been challenged a little more, but nonetheless keeping a nice tidy line, and he'll be pleased with that. The Panos of Brabham, the number 50 car, fending off Wallace. Wallace desperate to get past. Both 2000 cars here, the Audi of course, did so well in the official team, the Erst team last year. Brought off the peg by Champion Racing, but now 20 seconds separate these two, battling for third place, and our leading works Audis 1 and 2. It shows the vast difference, or perhaps just the dogged determination of the Panos here, holding off Wallace. Well, Johnny Herbert will be desperate to get inside this car and give it some welly. Our leaders then, Audis 1 and 2, lapping Lucas Lure in the Masson car. GT class points leader, not slow. That's being gentlemanly, the big boys, and that's nice to see. Leaders passing 57, the Reynard Dick Barber racing machine. Milka Duno on board there, and Tom Christensen. He'll be in the number 1 car a little bit later on, watching from the pit wall. Well, the Audi's already lapping cars in 6th place. That's how good they are. Unbelievable. Number 1, Capello. Number 2, Biela. Biela seems to have cured his understeer and found the half second he was looking for last night in qualifying. Well, they seem to be in a class of their own at the moment. Well, there'll be 2 full pit stops in 2 hours and 45 minutes for the big cars. Others maybe just the one, perhaps a splash and dash late on if they can just conserve fuel. The Audi's new injection system means that they can save, but not that much. They will probably have to come in twice. So the Saleen, the Borgler car, number 26. Where on earth are the Corvettes? Well, they're dropping back. It seems when fully laden, the Saleen's just looking very good in this class. Pulled away from both vets, 10 or 12 seconds the gap in the GTS class then from the leader. Great for the Conran team. Looking like class champions in waiting, perhaps. We will see. Corvette, I'm sure, will have an awful lot to say about that. Number 8 Cadillac in the frame, closing down on the GTS. Max Agnelli on board. And you can see the extra oomph there in a different class, quite literally. Race order then, oh dear, and it's the Panos number 51, Frank Lagorce. And we're hearing that he's stuck in neutral. Audi's 1 and 2. Panos number 50 is in 3rd place ahead of Wallace number 38 Audi. The 51 Panos was 5th, that's out, and it's a brace of Cadillacs following on for now. On board with Capello, closing up on number 26, the Saleen of Terry Borgler. On the pit straight, oh, he's got a knock, took a knock on the wall there. I don't know if you saw that, he's just, goodness me, really, his head just went sideways. Well, the car still seems to be handling. Just clipped the wall there, he's going down on the inside and got a nasty bang. BMW battle, Dirk Muller in the 43 car ahead of JG Leto in the 42. Boris Said in the number 6 car as well. Second PTG BMW. And let's have a look at that moment again here. Just look at this. Goes down the inside of the Saleen and he's just running out. Oh, just catches it, nicks it there. And they were trying to flag him off, but, well, he seems to have survived it, thank goodness. So, BMW of Leto and Said. It's Audi's 1 and 2. The Panos 3rd ahead of the 38 Privateer Audi. GTS, it's Saleen, followed by the 2 Corvettes. And BMW's 1, 2, 3 and 4 in the GT class. We'll be back at Sears Point after this very short break. Do stay with us. Great racing this. Come back as the Audis seem to be running away at the front. We're here at Sears Point and looking at the Cadillac number 7 of Christophe Tinzo of France. Car's midway through a 3-year development program, waiting for next year's all-new car. They say this season they're just biding their time. Doing it well, though. Corvette's number 3, the Fellows machine. Close behind the Saleen number 26 of Borgula. And as the fuel load lightens, it seems that the Corvettes are managing to close the gap. Saleen's relying on the heaviness earlier on. Well, on board with Capello, hoping for a bigger gap perhaps this time when he comes around in front of the pit lane. It really did take a nasty looking knock there, but trying to get through traffic and clearing it this time, thank goodness. Waiting for turn 2 to pass that BMW. Driving, watching, waiting, being incisive, positive, so that everyone knows exactly what you're doing, not hitting the walls. If you can possibly avoid them, please. Well, lapping more and more vehicles. And it's not just the number 1 Audi as well. Number 2 as well, coming up and about to lap the privateer Audi. Wallace, perhaps he's on his way in for fuel. Frank Bieler at the controls of the number 2. And easy enough, isn't it? Look at this. Goodness me, you can really see the difference between the 2001 cars and last year's model. And that direct injection straight into the cylinder head, extra power, and indeed fuel economy to boot. Fantastic stuff. Goodness me, look, the gap already opening up. A lap down then. The number 4 car. Panos will be coming into sight any moment now. There he is. Oh, that's a Corvette. A Viper, I beg your pardon. Cadillac number 7 of Tinso. Cadillac's stated ambition. They want to win Le Mans for 24 hours, and they've got an awful lot of work to do. Christophe Tinso here, involved in over 1,000 hours of preparation just in the early part of this year. And that before the series began, and they must know what they're up against if they're going to win Le Mans. They have Audis out in front of them, and the way the Audi teams have worked themselves into their position at the head of the field, it really is a shining example to everybody. This is the era of Audi. Cadillac hoping that it'll be their turn next, I'm sure. Beautiful looking car nonetheless, the Cadillac, and so nice in this form of racing to see all the different body styles, and a shame that this year's Panos didn't quite work. Very, very radical looking machine. So much looked to be going right early on, and the Cadillac far more sober in its design, but beautiful nonetheless. Race leader, number 1, Dindo Capello. Likes it up front, on board with him, very relaxed. Just nudging those rumble strips, not taking too much out of them though. Using all the road, but not too much of it beyond that. Well, it really is constant, isn't it? Oh, dear, dear, dear. And it's the Cadillac, the number 7, Tinso, and he's backed into the wall there, and that looks like race-ending stuff. Oh, sad to see, the Atlanta-based North Star team. First race in the series for them, and a sad end for their number 7 car. Borkler, the Saleen, being challenged by fellows in the 3 Corvette. Real battle for GTS out of the spin for Milka Duno in the Dick Barber racing car. He's got it going again. He'll be rejoining us, but with very, very dirty tyres. It'll take him a while to get back up to speed. And that battle again in the GTS, the number 26 and the number 3 in the back going down the inside. He looks like he's got him. Well, both on a lighter fuel load here, but it seems to be the Corvette that's working the better, much tighter machine. Look at this. Fantastic. Caught him. Just diving inside, and he's got the line out of this turn. Great stuff. Well, the Saleen has been looking a little bit tired over the last couple of laps, getting a bit loose. The vet much tighter into the turns, and there the results of his best effort, as you can see, already starting to put a little bit of distance, maybe 3 car lengths. And we've got another spinner. It's the 69th Porsche of Jeff Pabst. After a touch, apparently, with Tony Burgess. Now, there is debris on the track, and that will be a full course yellow. Well, they could well be calling them in now. Yes, out comes the flags. And indeed, everybody getting ready to do their bit. On board with Capello, coming into the pits, and he's signalling to Christensen to go in ahead of him, presumably. Oh dear, nearly hit that divider there, dividing the track from the pit lane. Only just made it, and he's fidgeting away with his radio communications there, basically waving him through so that he got into his pit box ahead of him, so he didn't have to drive round him. But change of drivers here. The drivers can do their own thing. Nobody else allowed to touch the car until the fuel man is off and has done his stuff. Fuel man gone, fuel on board, tyres being changed, and Capello, not a happy boy. Look at this. Well, goodness only knows what was going on there. The car on its own air jacks, as you can see, nice and handy. Quick check, down and underway. Christensen is there. Capello handing to Christensen. And it was Bieler, I beg your pardon, as he was signalling to come in, and we'll find out all about that right now. Ronaldo Capello handing over to Tom Christensen. Bieler, he's in. Fellows has changed with Johnny O'Connell. Let's catch up with Ronaldo Capello and see exactly what was going on there as he was waving in Frank Bieler.
I had a very bad lap, 3 laps to the end of my stint because of traffic. I lost all my gap. And then I tried to push again, and I was able to do, but it was yellow flag and pace car. I slowed down because the pace car had to catch me. And then they opened the pit lane just when the pace car passed. And I didn't know if for me was open or not. I was waiting for some information from the pit. The information came but a little bit too late, and Frankie went in earlier than me because he was behind and they had more time to talk with this box, but okay.
A bit of confusion about whether the pits were ready for him then. The safety car is still out there, so no real harm done as the race closes up behind the pace car. Well, we've seen the pace of the Audis, so it's only his teammate Capello I should say, needs to worry about. Let's talk to Frank Bieler.
All through the distance, the tires felt good, so I was always going quite hard, and I was pushing to keep the gap as small as possible, or maybe even overtaking him. And then at the end, I think Dindo did a little mistake. He stayed on the circuit, and I had to go in. And just 5 meters before the wall or something, I decided I was in the pit and he was out on the circuit. And I go. It was a little problem, or a little mistake of him.
So there you have it, clear as mud. Green flag, we've restarted, and the track cleared of debris, and it's Audis 1 and 2, but not those numbers that we heard before. It's the number 2 Audi leading now, ahead of the number 1. The Panos is there. They've all made a stop in the 900s. The GTS, it's Corvettes now 1 and 2, with the Saleen in 3rd place, and BMWs 1, 2 and 3 in the GT class. And on board with Nicholas Johansson, of the PTG BMW team, and number 1 Christensen. And look at this, just trying to get back as best he can towards the number 2 car, and he'll be pushing as hard as he dare. Yes, number 1, but in fact in 2nd place at the moment. Oh, and he's got, and it looked like he may have got a little bit of a nudge from the Cadillac, managing to hold on, and he's going to get past again as well. The number 8 Cadillac going past him, and that looked to be a very, very nasty moment indeed. And look at this battle at the moment. The Panos, David Brabham, along with Andy Wallace. A relentless battle, these two double stinting. This again for 3rd and 4th place. Look at this, having a look down the insides. No, not close enough this time. Well, gravel and dust will have been picked up by the number 1 Audi, but it seems to be relatively unfazed. This man certainly is out in the lead in the number 2 car. Audi's still in the driving seat. And Team Cadillac, the number 8 car. And Jelly Taylor machine, that's out, and it's yellow flags once again. And it seems that the car has actually lost a wheel, a front wheel. So, we're under full course yellow once more. Wayne Taylor, he's okay. And a pit stop for Jörg Müller, the number 42. Still very close in the GT race. Number 43, Frederick Ekblom. He's also staying on board. He's already out. And Müller will be wanting to get back into the fray as quickly as possible. And there, the missing wheel of the Cadillac being collected and safely steered back in the pit box of the champion Audi team, Johnny Herbert, preparing to get in the number 38 car, changing with Andy Wallace. And the Panos pit stop completed. They on the way. And the 38 car will want to be as swift as possible, otherwise they're going to end up being a lap down on that Panos. So Wallace swapping with Herbert. Once again, everyone safety's sake staying away until the fuel's on board. Well, one of the highlights of the opening hour of this race was the battle between Brabham and Wallace. And now we're resuming with Jan Magnussen in the Panos and Johnny Herbert in the privateer number 38 Audi. He exiting the pits. Herbert's ALMS debut here. And the number 50 on track behind the pace car. So no real changes for the moment. David Brabham.
Oh, I tell you, we had a fantastic race. I mean, you know, unfortunately we haven't been able to race much this year, but we're certainly making up for it this weekend. And, you know, Andy's a great driver, tough but fair, and we sliced through the traffic. It was fantastic racing.
Well, Johnny Herbert's racecraft is absolutely assured, and he's got the Panos in his sights here. He just has to get through traffic fairly and squarely, and does it neatly enough. Look at that. Well, can he catch Magnussen in the number 50 Panos and make it an Audi 1, 2, 3? No formation finish as he's a few laps down on the factory cars, but it could be an all Audi podium. Or will Jan Magnussen spoil the party? That's how we're set for now. We'll be back at Sears Point with the remainder of this race after this short break. Do stay with us. Sears Point, race leader number 2 Audi, Emanuele Pirro, and the Audi number 1 in close attendance, Tom Christensen. Fresh from his country excursions, seems to be none the worse for that. Thank goodness for him. And look at this battle amongst the GT class with the BMWs. Hans Stuck is in there, as is Frederick Ekblom. And we're looking at the number 42 and number 10. All 4 of those locked together in a real scrap in GT. The Porsches are out of it and not happy about it at all. They have been this season saying that the BMWs, really, it's not a proper GT car because you can't buy the vehicles. Well, BMW arguing with that, saying it'll shortly be available to absolutely everyone, and the organisers seem to agree with them. Pirro then, leading the number 1, Christensen. Audi's 1 and 2, but numbers 2 and 1 leading this race at Sears Point. Well, a totally dominant performance, and they've just got to hope the boys back in the pit lane that these two don't start racing each other for real. Last thing you want is for them to damage their vehicles, and we have seen a few good cars and good drivers come unstuck here, and indeed the Cadillac number 8 here on the trailer and going home. Ekblom in the 43 BMW, ahead of Jörg Müller, number 42. Hans Stuck is in the 6th car behind. And then the number 4 of the Corvette challenging them. He'll be looking to move through in just a moment. The flag's waving to say the faster car's coming down on you. Jörg Müller going through. A real ding-dong that is, and this is one as well. Just look how Herbert has closed down on Magnussen. Both former Formula One Stewart men. They know each other very well indeed. Look at this. Right over the rumble strip there, Herbert trying to get the inside line. Door slammed shut. Meanwhile, out in front, Pirro defending from Tom Christensen. Audi's 2 and 1. Fabulous stuff. They're going to have a race all on their own here in this class. Top of the class, of course. Well, it's a mark of just how much progress they've made. They were totally dominant last season, and they've come back with a different car, and it just shows you what application can do. The car is even more superior than last year's model, as we've seen when they were racing in Europe against the Gulf Audi and Magnussen. And here, of course, against the Wallace Herbert machine, the champion racing number 38 car, just left in the distance. Totally supreme, these vehicles. Picking their way beautifully through the traffic then. Tight and twisty here at Sears Point. Plenty of elevation as well, up and down, roundabout. Some bottlenecks do form in traffic, but the Audi's stuck absolutely together. BMW suspending their battle just for a moment while the faster vehicles go through. They'll resume. The red Viper soon dispatched by the silver machines. And Herbert is through. He's past the Panos. He's in 3rd place. It's Audi's 1, 2 and 3 for the time being. Well, a shame we didn't see it. We were busy with the leaders there. But the 38 car is in 3rd place. The number 50 Panos is being left behind. And a smoking Cadillac. This is the number 7 car. This is the one we saw backed into the wall earlier on. They did a great repair job on there. Of course, this bodywork is nice and light, and if you can just knock the axle into shape, you're okay, but it does seem to be having trouble. Smoking heavily there, as you can see. Tough weekend at Sears Point for the Cadillac boys. And the number 2, Pirro's car, is into the pits. Team orders, perhaps? Well, the battle certainly diffused. These are expensive vehicles, and they don't want to ruin the team challenge just for drivers' own personal point making. Well, who knows what the team strategy is, but for the time being, the number 1 Audi is back in position at number 1. The number 2 here, Pirro, being refueled. Is he going to take any tyres? Not at all. Taking fuel, and off he goes. Probably some adrenaline and not a little bit of anger, I wouldn't have thought. He comes out with his limiter on, and there is the new leader, number 1, Tom Christensen, on track, putting in a couple of very fast laps he will be. And Herbert in 3rd place. As you can see, the gap between himself and the Panos has closed once again. Look at the Saleen in the GTS class. Frank Conrad on board. And indeed in 2nd place behind the Corvette, which is leading at the moment. Splitting both Corvettes, so a little battle going on in the GTS as well. Corvette number 3 car is leading the class ahead of the Saleen, and the number 4 Corvette is just behind this machine. Lovely looking car, as we've said, and should you have got the cash together, you can actually drive one of these to the supermarket, should you care. Well, not one of these, however. In comes Christensen. Will it be a splash and dash? And you can see where he got clipped, or this vehicle got clipped earlier on, which caused the spin. It was indeed a bit of contact, so not just a driver mistake. And a couple of front tyres have been changed as well. May well have got themselves a little bit ragged when the vehicle went off. So number 2, heavy with fuel, and will not keep the lead. No tyres earlier for Manuel Pirot. Audis then still filling the top 2 spaces, and indeed the top 3. GTS leader Johnny O'Connell. And the Corvette's run of success started early this year, and they've been having a great season. Racing another series as well, and of course we saw them at Le Mans. Great ambition. On board with number 1 race leader after the pit stop, Tom Christensen. Took the lead when the number 2 Audi pitted, and you can see he's hardly likely to relinquish it. Number 57, the only 675 car, so leading his own class. Beautiful looking car, the Dick Barber racing machine. And Herbert is in the pits, and he's having trouble. Well, the car is staggering. It's not quite stalled. It keeps going, stopping. Come on, get it sorted, Johnny. Well, this is causing all sorts of problems. 2 laps behind the leader. Second ahead of the number 50 Panos going in there, but he's choking it. We'd seen it before with the Audis. No such trouble this time. Perhaps that fuel injection system could have ironed that out. Race leader number 1 Tom Christensen going past the PTG BMW number 6, which was looking a bit twitchy, and heading for victory. It's a familiar sight, these cars being greeted home, waved home indeed, by the checkered flag. And it's going to happen once again. Time is out. You get 1 full lap once the clock has stopped. And Audis 1 and 2 it will be. The fist clenched, and it's there. The checkered flag is waved above the number 1 Audi once again. Absolutely superb stuff. Audis 1 and 2. It's going to be the Panos in 3rd place. And a burst of smoke from the back. I think that was just a blap on the accelerator. Oh, and a spin in the dying last corner here. The number 43 car and the number 6 in the BMW is just coming together there. They've managed to hold it, and there'll be no change in the order. Thank goodness for them. And it's BM's 1, 2 and 3 with the 42 car finishing in 3rd place. Well, a handsome race for BMW. An equally handsome one, of course, for Audi. Maybe it's just that we're used to seeing it. Audi's number 1 in victory lane, their 11th consecutive ALMS win, a streak that started here in July of last year, and who knows where it will end. Behind, Panos grabbed the 3rd ahead of the champion car, which was 4th. In GTS, the Corvettes headed Saleen over the line, and of course you saw the GT results. Just how dominant can BMW get? Well, now the points look much the same as before, only more so. 6 rounds still to go, and it's early days, but the Audis are king of the hill in the prototype class. Capello and Christensen from their teammates, while Corvettes men Fellows and O'Connell increase their lead in GTS, and Sasha Masson hangs on to the GT lead, but it's all getting terribly close. Still 6 races on the calendar, and the next is just a couple of weekends away. They race at Portland, Oregon. Fast, flat, and plenty of room. I'm Carlton Kirby from Sears Point. It's bye-bye.
Great fun and games.